Going to cover everything you need to know about how the Ford Maverick hybrid system works. So let's talk engines and transmissions. And we're really going to be talking about that in detail. We'll also have an upcoming video where we're actually in the vehicle the whole time, but we've got some things to throw up on the screen because I did some filming today on how that works. And we'll also talk with a Maverick hybrid owner, get her impressions, and then I'll throw in some facts on that because there is a lot of confusion on how the Ford Maverick hybrid system works. I want to cover that. And I also want to talk about whether it's reliable or not. Can we trust the Ford Maverick engine? So we need to cover that tonight. We're also going to be talking about some Ford and GM news, covering new models and important ordering and scheduling information that you need to know if you're thinking about ordering up a Ford, some important information to know if you're thinking of shopping at GM. And we're going to be talking about recalls. One of my favorite topics, recalls. Oh, so misunderstood recalls. We're also going to be talking about the number of fires with electric vehicles versus gasoline-powered vehicles.
That's interesting.
We're doing some Ranger news, Bronco news, Mustang must-know news. So that's the show for tonight. So we're going to be breaking it up into episodes again, and we'll near the end of the week, we'll release these episodes. But we really appreciate everyone being here for the live, because this is where we get to hang out with you all. Marine Vet, thank you for making it in the show. Ford Video Guy, hey everyone. The legend himself, our moderator, Ridgeview, always giving us a helping hand, getting our communities pictures to us as well, getting us info. And actually Ridgeview, you could say, helped make a bit of this episode because he threw us on the idea. Also Tim Bartz, Ford Video Guy, suggested that we do it in his live just recently. So here we are covering it in, we could call it phase 1 of talking about how the hybrid system works. So folks, let's get started. I've also got some cool Maverick photos to show you. 2-inch lift Maverick on stock tires, FX4, and unfortunately also a damaged Maverick, but pretty impressive.
Not mine.
Not hers. One of the community members has sent photos to Ridgeview. Ridgeview got these photos to me, so we'll be checking out Jason Brenton's photos, and if I mispronounce that, you can correct me in the live chat. That's what the chat box is for. It's for keeping me on track and making sure I get all the data and facts right. So let's just jump in. We're now up to almost halfway up to our normal evening number for the live premiere. So let's start, and we'll, I love the Star Wars. And just recently, even Ford actually used a little Star Wars reference, talking about how electric vehicles in the future, it's going to be like going to the Millennium Falcon, I think it was. I should have had that prepped and ready on the back screen. I didn't screenshot that. Sorry, folks. But yeah, Head at Ford definitely used a Star Wars reference. So maybe my nerdiness is catching on like a bad flu or a really good flu. So let's get started. Episode 1, how the Ford Maverick hybrid system works. I think it's really important. There's so much confusion going on in regards to just the whole powertrain. Is it reliable? Is it any good? Will it last a long time? And how do you know when it's in electric mode? I remember one of the very first Ford Maverick videos I watched on YouTube, that wasn't one of my own, was saying that, hey, there's actually a few reviewers were saying there's no way of knowing when it's in hybrid mode. And I was out here screaming like, come on, there's 2 ways of knowing when it's in hybrid mode. And we've got a specialty for this evening. I usually just talk way too much. And tonight, we're going to get Marie to talk, practice her English, and we're going to get to...
I will try.
Yeah, so
I'm not sure if everybody will understand, but I will try.
So I've got a few questions for you because I want your owner's impression, because it's not as if I've given you some complex course on how the hybrid system works. We're going to hear the owner's perspective of how the hybrid system works, what you've noticed, and then I'm going to fill that in with cold, hard fact and videos.
And I never owned a hybrid before, so it's brand new for me.
No, that's right. The Lincoln MKZ hybrid, I think it was a 2017 I owned with big old 19-inch black wheels from factory. That MKZ hybrid looked great, but I drove that 100% of the time.
And you were so annoying because you were trying to recharge the car, so at the stop you were far away from the stop and going slow. I was like, Stop driving like an old man.
Yeah, well, you know,
That's the only time I saw him drive so slowly.
I still have the Toyota MR2. We'll cover some news for our channel. I
Yeah,
still
you
have the
switched
MR2,
You
but I
switched
used to be a
subject.
Toyota guy. I used to really be a Toyota guy. So no wonder I was driving that
Yeah.
Lincoln like a Prius owner.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, but no, I won't be bad with you tonight. You already said it. Yeah, you were like a Prius owner.
To be more
Shame on
PC, politically correct, when you find someone is being wimpy, you should say they're being Priusy,
Prius.
or being a real Prius. Slow and annoying. So okay, so let's get to this. I've got questions for you, Maddie.
Okay.
As a Maverick owner, what's your impression like? When do you think it's an electric mode versus versus gasoline mode? When it's mixed, what are your cues to know when it's an electric or gas mode? And we do have a question for her, and I've got some, recorded experiences and observations in regard to that famous L button, when to use it, what damage does it cause. So do make sure to stay tuned here. We're going to cover all the important stuff that you need to know on your Maverick.
So yeah, 2 ways to know if you're on electric or in gas. The first one is the sound. If there's no sound, you're completely on electric. And when the motors, the gas motor come in, if I could say that like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. You will hear it start, but it's not that bad. It's not a big sound like a full gas car.
No, if you're listening to the radio, if the radio is decently, like you're listening to a tune you really like.
Yeah, no, you won't see it. Maybe
won't
you
hear
will
it?
feel a little
You'll never
tremble.
see it. You'll never see it. You mean you won't hear it?
Hear it, yeah, thank you. But you can feel a little the tremble when it starts.
There's a little bit of a vibration.
So that's the first thing, the sound and the vibration. After that, you can check on the dashboard. You will see the big circle, and you just need to check. On one side, you have the green, so you know that you're on hybrid mode or electric. And the other side, you have a 0 to you see a 50 and 100 after that. So then you're on gas when you're on this side. But easier, you have a special mode that you can switch. You can see your trip 1, trip 2 to see how many kilometers you did and how many miles per gallon. But you can switch it to see when you're on gas, you will see your gas usage right now. And sometimes the line...
miles per gallon bar, you could call it, or the liters per 100 kilometer bar.
That's right.
You can have that in your screen behind the steering wheel, and I'll let you continue.
And sometimes you see it disappear, and then it said you're in electrical mode. I don't know in English what's the word that was written, but in French it said to me that I'm driving electric. So that's the laziest way to know it. Finally. You have another question?
Yeah, how about you talk about your impressions about that L button?
The L button. Okay, that's
and
the
explain
thing.
where it is.
Yeah, on the switch to put your car on drive or in park, you have an L button. Yeah, John is trying to have a better sound right now, so tell us if it doesn't work. We tried to plug another mic. We'll just adjust this like it was almost. Yeah, so for the L button, you can try to push it. You will see down the road, you will have more friction. So, so it will recharge your battery more. The only thing I didn't know yet, I want to read the owner's manual and tell you more next time maybe. So I'll be the nerd. I'll read the manual.
Never understand
He's judging
that
me
one.
right now.
I'm judging. I like to...
So, yeah, he's been told by a mechanic that we could stay on the L button even if you're driving, not stopping. But I feel a little resistance, so I want to know, will it cost me more gas then if I continue on the L button?
And I've got them covered.
Yeah.
So far your impression However, if I understood you correctly, your impression is that when you are on the L button, it's taking more gas because you feel that resistance.
I'm not sure if it's more gas because I see sometimes that I'm driving electrical anyway.
Yeah.
But when I remove it while I'm driving, it's less resistance that I feel.
Now, because we don't need me being the center of attention here, we've got Marie talking. Let's actually get
you
this
had trouble with the camera.
centered. I had a bit of trouble with the camera. There was a
think you're
dog
good
battle
now.
again. And let me just, sorry everybody, let me just fix this up.
We always need technical difficulties.
Yeah, it's not.
It was going well just before.
Yeah, we had it all set up. Sorry, I just wanted to get the sound a little better, everybody. And I asked for too much. Okay, so I guess you'll just scoot over to me a little bit more.
Oh, I guess we're good now.
Okay, we're good. Sorry about that. Okay, so we actually have some video footage of how that L button works. There's a lot of confusion. Let's first just talk about the powertrain so everyone's kind of on board with what we're going to visually be seeing. How the Ford Maverick powertrain works. Up at the front, the engine. The real basic stuff, we know that there's a petrol engine, and the reason I say petrol is because gas is not a liquid. Gas is, it's a gas. It's not a liquid. So we'll call it a petrol. We'll give this to the British and say, yes, it's a petrol-powered engine, traditional ICE, internal combustion engine. And you also have your electric engine. But everyone understands it as one electric engine. And I haven't in the past, I've explained it in the simplest of ways, but not in the most accurate of ways. There's actually in the electric motor engine, the electric motor unit, there's actually two devices at play. There's one device, which is, we can basically say it's two electric engines. So you've got one electric engine, that's your big one, and it's used as your torque engine, your engine used for turning the wheels. Then within the same unit, it makes it look like there's only one electric engine, but then there's a second electric engine that's smaller. A lot of people will often call that, a lot of even technicians, they'll call it the generator, and they don't quite see it as an electric motor, but it is electric motor. It's the generator, and it is used for charging your 12-volt battery. It's also, because there's no alternator, it's used for charging your 12-volt battery. It's also used for, of course, starting the vehicle up and charging the onboard battery. And when I say onboard battery, I do not mean the little 12-volt cube, which Ford actually puts in the Mavericks, actually a pretty darn decent quality battery in there. We're talking about the 1.1 kilowatt battery. I'm going to assume probably made by SK, that is in the back seat. Underneath, it's the rear passenger back seats on hybrids. You don't have a bin. That's where your 1.1 kilowatt battery is stored. And that generator is charging that onboard battery. Now, every time you let go of the accelerator, you've got the secondary generator motor, electric motor. So that generator, the smaller electric motor, is going to be charging that onboard battery every time you let go of the pedal. Now, Ridgeview, our moderator for the channel, sent me an extremely well-written, eloquent manner of explaining all this. I'm not going to read it word for word because you'll be like, oh, that Johnny doesn't normally sound that smart. This isn't right. This isn't the real Johnny here. So putting it in my own words, it talks about how these hybrids really where they're efficient. We can't think of these hybrids as having an electric autonomy because it's not worth calculating. It's often for short periods. And now the e-torque, not the e-torque, that's another manufacturer. The electric motor that's in charge of torque, turning the wheels. Now that bigger motor is going to be at play and really helping out when you're taking off, because when you're taking off, that's when you have the weight of the vehicle, and that's when a gasoline engine is least efficient. It's least efficient when starting up. A lot of gas gets used starting the vehicle, so the electric motor does that, and the battery. And then taking off, that is when the electric motor can have the most benefit towards saving gas because it's got a limited battery, 1.1 kilowatt. And I'd love in the future if the price on the Maverick goes, a hybrid Maverick goes up because of battery costs. If the price goes up, I'd love to see them have a 3 kilowatt battery in there to, you know, or 3.3 kilowatt battery at 3 times more power and have a longer distance in driving in hybrid mode. But currently, really, it's all about getting the vehicle moving and started, because that's when a gasoline engine has, you know, is the least efficient. So a lot of people will ask, do I need to plug it in? No, you don't plug in the Maverick. It's not a plug-in hybrid. Plug-in hybrids require much larger batteries. For example, the Escape plug-in is a 14.4 kilowatt battery. Same thing for the Lincoln Corsair. And of course, because the Lincoln Corsair is all-wheel drive, there's about an extra, must be 200-300 pounds of extra mechanics for that all-wheel drive system. So 61 kilometers gets cut down by over 10%. It gets cut down by about 20% throughout a rough estimate out there. It goes from about 60 kilometers to about 40, so it's probably actually more like 25 to 30% less autonomy. But the Maverick doesn't have an electric autonomy. The vehicle decides, and it's not complicated, the vehicle decides when to put itself in all electric mode and when to use gasoline and electric. And of course, if there's not enough battery left, well, then it's just going to run in all electric mode. Now, the 2.5 liter Atkinson, thank you very much, Don Foster, for reminding people to hit the like button. It does help to get this information out. And because there's so much misinformation and confusion about hybrids, I really do hope this video does get out. Now, because the 2.5 liter Atkinson engine is actually a really fuel efficient engine, but it doesn't have, it's very low on torque. And that's where the electric motor is the perfect complementary system to that 2.5 liter Atkinson engine. And this is why some people will be like, 2.5 liter Atkinson engine? I've never heard of that before. It must be very new and very unreliable, or at least untested, and maybe in 10 years, we'll see if it's any good. Well, Ford's been using that type of engine now for a little over a decade. It has proven itself reliable. It started off in the Fusion around 2013, if I recall correctly. It was used as well in, you know, if you actually go back to original Escapes, you know, 2003, 2004 Escapes, similar setup. So this has been around for a very long time, but pretty much the 2.5 liter Atkinson in its current setup, it's just a newer generation, is very, well, it's just a newer generation of what was in the 2013 Fusion. And that was sort of like, you could say, a perfected or a perfected version of what we saw out of the Escapes in the 2000s. So let's actually go to a video to see how all of this actually works. I've got 2 videos on it, and I'm going to try to get them in the right order. So the one from, I took one this morning and I took one this afternoon. Now I'm going to see if you can't hear the television, let me know and I'll just talk it out. So we'll try this, see if it works here.
So when it's in the white, right there, that means the gas engine's running. And you see with the L button, it's going to go to the maximum of battery recharging. So there's 2 motors, and you've got your regenerative motor, your generator motor, your smaller generator motor, the second one, that's the one in charge of recharging the battery. So it helps you slow down. You add a little gas and we're still in hybrid mode. It's only once we pass that 0 that we're using gas.
Okay, so we'll Winston, I'm sorry, Winston, that's
back up nearly as much.
Stop it.
Nope. So I'm just going to cut the sound and just let this run in the background because you'll see what's going on. Basically, whether I'm in L mode. Better for coasting.
It didn't
Less good for charging.
cut it from here.
Okay, so I guess it's not just you that I interrupt. I am also
You're interrupting yourself.
myself. Okay, so here what we had is whether I was in L mode or not, when moving forward, the result was the same. And I tested this going down a hill, on flat in town, and I also tested this on the highway. And, you know, no matter what the outcome was, really the benefit of the L on the highway, the benefit of the L, the major benefit is you see that needle down there, and it goes all the way down. It instead of charging up the battery at about 30% up here, it would charge all the way. Sorry, I need to point here. So when the L is off and you let go of the pedal, it'll charge up there at about 30%. And when the L is on, it instantly kicks all the way down to the bottom, which means maximum recharging. You're getting the most out of, you know, going downhill, out of the weight of the vehicle. You're really gravity and inertia is paying your bills. You know, it's making the vehicle more fuel efficient. So we started at the top of the hill. If you notice, we're at 5.8 liters per 100 kilometers. That was from driving through town on flat. And then going down that hill, because I was using the L, getting the maximum charge, and going downhill, of course. And had I not had the L button on, it probably still would have ended up with a 2.5 liters per 100 kilometers. A liter is about a fourth of a gallon, very, very close to a fourth of a gallon. But the thing to keep in mind is the fuel economy became twice as good, and I maximized my recharge of that battery. And also, it's nice because when I would, it also helps, you know, slow down the vehicle, or on steeper hills, maintain speed. And then I could actually just use the gas pedal to kind of decide what kind of resistance I wanted, making it a little bit similar to one pedal driving. Now, here's the thing, had I not been in L mode, you can actually attain full charge capacity, but you have to tap the brakes. And here's the thing with the Ford Maverick. I do find the 2023 brakes to be, I'm either better or they actually are less sensitive, because I've driven 2022 often and I kept getting jerked forward when I tried to just touch the brakes slightly to let that smaller electric motor get the signal, hey, let's do extra regenerative braking. Regenerative braking is the term used, but it doesn't actually use the brakes on the discs, on the wheels, attached with the wheels. Doesn't use that braking system whatsoever. But when you're not in L mode, you do need to tap the brakes to let it know to charge more and actually give you a resistance that helps slow you down. Because if you don't tap the brakes and you want to recharge, you're going to end up in Prius mode, meaning like I drove the Lincoln MKZ hybrid. Way before the lights or way before the stop sign, you start slowing down ever so slowly, and like a mile before the lights or stop sign, you're trying to slow down to get as much battery back, energy back, so when you take off, you can stay in electric mode longer. With the L button, you hit that L button, and you're going to be recharging with a lot more. The little electric motor is going to be working harder. It's going to slow you down more. It's going to be charging more. So you're going to start letting go of the accelerator later, closer to your stop sign or red light, making you probably more pleasant for the people behind you. And will this overall create a overall better fuel economy? Well, one, you're going to get to your destination quicker, so it's going to be a little hard to calculate. I'd say, in my opinion, in my hypothesis, absolutely 100%, because if you slow down, a mile in advance to try to charge that battery up, it's going to take you longer to get to your destination. And here, you're charging roughly, you can see the bar here, you're going to be charging about 3 times more. You also stop about 3 times quicker, so you can let go of the accelerator later, get to your destination quicker, so less time on the road. Well, less time on the road, less fuel used. So I think that is the most efficient way to drive the vehicle. Now we're going to be making specific tests about it. We'll find a nice track on a day where the weather is the same for about a 2-hour period, and we'll run some laps. And yes, there's Lily, because Lily was chewing either on Winston or on something, but I know she was up to no good. So let's see.
She wants attention. I'm sorry.
We also did this over on the highway on my way down tonight.
So now I know why you wanted my car to go to work.
No, I wanted your car to go to work, because let's see the photos. I got you your little surprise before we continue more of this Maverick hybrid system powertrain talk. Now, did they come out in the photos for the video tonight?
It was at the end.
Well, I'm happy your memory is better than mine. So let's see you here.
Because the part you upload was there.
So Marie's struggling with her new. We can turn the sound on, I guess. So Ridgeview had one of these, really liked it. You like it?
It was Russell. Yeah,
Russell as well.
Let's check out your door sills.
Russell in Florida.
So you got this spray and bed liner. You got the Lex package. I was enjoying your heated steering wheel. And you got the 400 watt max plug in the back.
Yeah, that's the plate.
And those are your plates.
Wow, looks nicer than the one on Amazon.
Yeah, the Ford plates.
I'm happy. Yeah,
See?
the other one was like fake carbon.
You can't say it's nicer than Amazon. Google will never suggest
We'll
us.
try not to get that scratched up. Probably
It's just
put
a
a screw
general.
wrap on it.
Amazon has some nice ones too, but the Ford ones, it's nice and hard. It doesn't look plasticky at all. So there we've got it. Marie's got her accessories. So a reminder, order your accessories before your vehicle shows up. And we've got someone commenting, maybe you can show that they also really like it. That's Mabsim.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the X4S. Really like the roll-up. It's too bad I don't have photos of that. So yeah, Marine Vet, thank you for saying surprise, Marie. Yeah, surprise. She's liking it quite a bit. And we'll talk about how tough the Maverick is and about reliability just a little bit more. But first, I just want to cover a bit of the highway. At least I can play it in the background.
So this with the L
Want me
button
to cut
on.
the sound?
Now off.
Just one second.
On. Off.
So I've got 50 seconds
Down
of
a
this.
bit of a hill now. We're back on. Still going down ever so slightly because we're going down a slope. So really, when you're on the highway, if you have the L button on or off, it makes no difference in how much, there's no resistance being created causing more gas to actually be used.
So this is in response to a comment I got, and it was a really good response, and this is a very common perception causing confusion. Most people think that the L button, and this is true, generally true of automatic transmissions that have a low mode, normally that means that you're actually going into a lower gear. And if you're to hit that on the highway, and if the vehicle were to actually allow it to go on, it would be disastrous. So before I did this to your vehicle, before talking to tech, I knew I was right. But anyways, I talked to the head tech knowing I hadn't caused any damage to your vehicle on the way to work. And then I knew, well, now I can fully test it the whole way home. But the head tech was like, well, no, how the transmission on the Maverick works is we've got it's an eCVT. It's not a traditional CVT, and it's not, a traditional, 6, 8, or 10 or 9-speed transmission. We'll be talking about GM's 8-speed transmission later because they've got a lawsuit for lying and hiding again, or at least that's the claim. We'll talk about that, but this is an ECVT, so it's a planetary gear set. You've got one big gear for the transmission, then you've got a bunch of side little gears, probably to help simulate. The little gears. I'm assuming they help. That's what helps you feel like it's changing kind of gears, and not always just in the same one speed, because it is a one speed transmission, just like a CVT. But CVTs are known for being generally unreliable and also generally unenjoyable. They're unpleasant, annoying transmissions that are real whiny when you go up a hill, but that's a belt-driven transmission. It's a transmission on a belt, and this is actually a big, old mechanical gear with its teeth combined with other little small side gears. It's a very reliable transmission, and it's very similar to what's in the Prius, the Toyota Prius. Doesn't mean you have to drive this like a Toyota Prius, but it is very similar to what's in the Toyota Prius. And so far, I only make that joke because if every Maverick owner drives like a Prius owner, I probably won't be around to do this show, because several times I've had very dangerous encounters, very close encounters with Priuses. So Lily's chewing on my hand, but what can you do? So the system is reliable. The 2.5 liter has been around for a while. It's proven itself. And the electric motor, is it reliable? Well, it's also been in the Ford Escape before. Now, the new Mavericks electric motor is actually made in-house. The Escape is not made in-house. They pay another company, but Ford's making their own Maverick electric motor. It's very similar to the Escapes with a few modifications. It's actually lighter. It's a little cheaper to make because of how it uses rare minerals, a little less rare minerals, but it's lighter, and it's actually capable of taking, putting out more power and taking or putting out more power, depending how you want to see that. The electric motor is actually beefier. So it's a better setup, and it should be very reliable because it is similar to what's in the Escape. But that actually is the new component to the Maverick. Thankfully, it's based on a design that has already proven itself to be very reliable. So I think this almost covers everything I've got to say for the Maverick. However, the white line here, a lot of people will think if you're at the 0, that's white, so you're now in petrol mode. Gasoline, I'll give in just to make sure I'm understood. But when you're on the 0, you're not in gasoline mode. It's actually when you pass the 0. Normally you'll hear the engine, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my observations were the engine kicks on when it's about halfway to right on that first point. But when it's on the 0 or just
it's around that.
Yeah, 0 or a hair over 0, you're still in electric mode. Green is for recharging mode. So green, recharging. Then you see here 0, you're in electric mode. Once you're at the first bar, now the gasoline engine's definitely going to kick on. And 100% power. Why do they call it 100% power? Because 100% power means it's 100% power. You probably are using both the electric and, the petrol engine and the electric motor together. Combined power to give you actually a really nice, smooth experience. The transition I find to be very, very smooth. It's a nice, smooth transmission. It's just loud if you're heavy on the pedal. But these vehicles aren't made to be pedal to the metal. It's not their purpose. If you want to go pedal to the metal and have it not cost you very much at the pumps, buy an F-150 Lightning. And I can't believe this is a third of the price of my Lightning, and it's fantastic. It's amazing in the corners because I made your tires squeal a little. And it's amazing.
I'll never let you my car again.
It's amazing in the corners. I love it. It's so much fun to drive, so easy to park. I went to the gym to get some exercise as my lunch break, and I just parked right in. No chance I bump into anything, and I just
it's easy to park.
it.
That's what I love about that car. Parking's easier than ever.
Now, it's easy to park, but sometimes other people aren't so nice. So we've got Jason Breton's vehicle, and that's sad. It got damaged up, so I was worried because I was thinking Mavericks, they've been taking a long time to get produced. How long will this take to get fixed? Are we going to be looking at a 3, 4, 5, 6 month fix? Well, if he's in the show tonight, he'll let you know exactly how long it was, or maybe Ridgeview can fill us in. He'll have a better idea. But I got the damaged photos a few weeks ago, and I kept thinking, oh, I forgot to put it in. I forgot to download them for the show. But then I've got the great news. This was in the back. It had a little bit of damage. But I got the great news that, well, it's already fixed. And it's fixed really, really well. So the Maverick's tough.
We don't see it.
And can be fixed quite quickly as long as the body shop isn't, booked and you've got to wait a few months to actually get to your turn. But great job. The back looks great. The front looks great. And there was actually even a hole in the front fender that we saw in one of those pictures. So I'm sure that must be a new part. Must be a new part. When you've got a hole and the type of damage that we saw, it'd be too long and too difficult to get it looking that good. But you never know. Maybe they worked miracles, but my suspicion is they've got new parts on that vehicle. Now, here is a Maverick lifted. So 2-inch lift, FX4 on its original tires. The customer is going to put bigger tires on it, but that's what was done for today. He has his own tires. And I really don't find the 2-inch lift to be that bad. I kind of like the look.
I knew you would say that.
But what do you think? I have a feeling you don't like the look.
No, for now I love the look. Yeah, no, that's passing. But I'm not sure if I would do it on my truck because I don't know how much it costs to do that, but it's always a cost related to that.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you with the cost. I can tell you on an F-150, it's about $700, $800 Canadian. This was probably similar, so likely probably about $500, $600 US with labor. But I also will have upcoming what they call a slammed Maverick because our friend Tristan, when he gets his new Maverick, it's going to be a hybrid because he has an EcoBoost right now. And he's going to slam it. And he does city-only driving, and he has an average of 11 liters per 100 kilometers.
Wow.
And you're doing only city driving, and I saw in the vehicle today, you're at 7.6 liters per 100 kilometers. So not twice as good, but quite a bit better.
And it was cold when I had that kind of miles per gallon, so yeah.
Coastal Living NCS, so must be North Carolina, I would think. Sea line or seashore. He's saying that the part is actually $80. So yeah, same thing for a Bronco. If you want a leveling kit on a Bronco, it's only $80 US for the front, and then you spend about the same on the back. However, labor. So it's just the labor that really brings up the cost, unless you're doing the labor yourself. So I guess the price really, we could say, really does vary drastically from doing it yourself to a garage that doesn't charge much, or if you're paying Ford techs. Well, Ford techs aren't cheap, but my previous experiences, we think of that 5.4 liter King Ranch truck we had back in the day, and it was like 10 years old with about 150, 160,000 miles on it. And it sat at a mechanic's for 4 weeks. He put 4 or 5 hours work into it, said he couldn't find it, but needed another 4 hours to be able to definitely say what it is, most likely come to a conclusion. He said, look, get it out of my yard and I won't even charge you. So I was like, and he's like, I recommend you bring it to the dealer. The dealer service, the guy that just tells mechanics what jobs to do and when, not a mechanic himself, was like, oh, it's probably the petrol units, a modulator in the back around the gas tank. Do you want us to do a 4-hour inspection to almost very likely find out what the problem is, or just change that part that breaks quite often around your miles? I said, well, if it breaks quite often, it's probably going to break on me upcoming. So yes, start with changing that, fix the problem. So experience is always worth more.
And Marine Vet has a question.
Thank you. I wanted to cover his question. I saw it.
Lifted, you're going to sacrifice miles per gallon, or he said, or kilometers per liter?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my general rule of thumb, and there's nothing scientific about this, but I usually say that for every inch lifted, it's about 1 liter or a quarter of a gallon per 100 kilometers, 65 miles. So about a quarter of a gallon for every 62.3 miles per, miles. And for tires, very roughly 1 mile per gallon, I guess. But for tires, normally when you add about an inch of tires, it follows almost the same equation. So it's about the same. So about 1 liter per 100 kilometers, or a quarter of a gallon for every 62.3 miles. So I hope that explains it well. I know everyone's used to using miles per gallon, but I like either liters per 100 kilometers or gallons per a distance, because I feel like I can visualize it. I can say, well, I often go this far. Oh, it's going to cost me that much more every time I go to that distance. So our nearest huge city is Montreal. Well, I can actually figure out, oh, it's going to cost me that much more to go to Montreal and back. Is it worth the modification?
Okay. And Marine Vet had another question just before for me. He said, which one do you prefer between the Bronco and the Maverick? That's the question. For sure, I really, really love the Bronco. The reason that I didn't have the one, it's because it's more in my budget to have a Maverick. I love the fact that it's hybrid. The Bronco, we didn't have an hybrid yet, but I really love the height of the Bronco, the space that we have in to put stuff in the back, so you don't have a box outside, it's all in the cabin. I really love that about the Bronco. It was easy to park because it was turning so quick.
Yeah, the turning radius on the Bronco is
the best car ever. The Maverick doesn't turn that well. It's not that bad, but it doesn't turn like a Bronco.
I've been driving an F-150. I'm sorry, but the Maverick turns really well. But
like
the Bronco,
a car, but the Bronco, it's more.
But
than
the Bronco is huge. You feel like you're driving a huge truck, but then it turns on a dime.
Yeah, so I really love the Bronco, but for now, for the cost that the Maverick is, and the fact that it's hybrid, definitely I love my choice right now too. So it was something to drive with the Bronco, but now it's another adventure.
So Gary's saying, Johnny, I see you doing 110. I am not that criminal. I only did 101 or 102 in the Bronco that two times.
And it's by kilometers.
But this is in kilometers. So yeah, you won't get this kind of great fuel economy going that much over the speed limit. The speed limit's 100. So I was doing 110 kilometers per hour. So 100 is 62.3 miles per hour. And Marie earlier said, it tells you when you're in electric mode. So conduite électrique is French for electric mode.
Drive?
Drive.
I don't know how they call it in English.
And when it's not in electric mode, when it's in gasoline mode, which it was just previously, so you see it's on the 0, and it was about to hit into the sign switching over. But this is more when we're above the 0. You've got your little bar calculating your either miles per gallon or liters per 100 kilometers. So here the maximum is 12. We're at a hair under 6. So it's cool. It kind of gives you an instant reading of what kind of fuel consumption you are undertaking or partaking in, or whatever term you want to use for being in the process of using up fuel. Now,
are you ready for other questions about the Maverick before we switch?
You know what? That's really smart. We'll really wrap up Maverick talk, and then we'll switch, because I do hope everyone stays for some important Ford and GM news. I've kind of got like a pow, Ford and GM news. Positive, negative, fun stuff.
So at the beginning of the show, I saw Randall Peters having a question. He was asking about the miles per gallon that you are getting in town and highway. So you speak more about town. In the highway, how much do you think we could have?
Really similar to an EcoBoost. So I unfortunately need to use the internet, because all my data observed is in liters per 100 kilometers. I didn't switch Marie's car over, but basically on the highway, it's generally running about 8 liters per 100 kilometers. So if I do 8 liters per per 100 kilometers in miles per gallon. On the highway, we're doing basically 29.5 to 31 miles per gallon going above the speed limit. So doing 110. So that would be about 70 miles per hour. Now in town, Marie was doing, you're doing, in town you're doing, it's winter though.
It was around
7.6. So
yeah, maybe less than that.
in town right now, Marie is doing, yeah, actually I made it go up quite a bit.
Yeah, because I was at 6 the last time.
You're at 6? Okay. So at 6 liters per 100 kilometers, you're doing 39 miles per gallon. I'd say you're doing roughly about 35 to 40 miles per gallon, but it's winter. This is really going to go down.
Yeah, because
one
day
we're going to do 50 miles per gallon
when it was
in town.
full sun, I was at 3.9 liters.
And that's,
kilometers per
I'm
hour.
sure that's 50 miles per gallon. We
Yeah.
hit that. The Holy Grail, actually, the new real Holy Grail. And, you know, it's, of course, we're in a hilly region, so sometimes there's benefits and also there's downsides to being in a hilly region, depending up and down, but that's actually 60 miles per gallon. And when Marie did 3.9 liters, she said, look, it's staying at 3.9. I was like, no, that's just where we're driving. It's going to go back up.
It was at the end of the day when it wasn't that cold. So,
Yeah.
I want to see in the summer what I could have with.
And then when we
Maverick.
started driving, and at the very end of everything of our test drive, we ended up with 47 miles per gallon. And that was all zones that you could say were city to halfway between city and highway. So a hybrid's, you know, really its peak performance is going to be, of course, in the city. And it's also very good in zones. Yeah, it's perfect for you. And it's really great in zones that are, let's say, 40 to 50 miles per hour. Solid vehicle at those speeds. It's great also at 65 miles per hour. But when you start to go well past the speed limit, it's not like most vehicles. It's got, you know, well, like all vehicles, anything in movement has to go deal with the friction caused by wind. And, you know, that goes up, the friction goes up exponentially with your speed going up. So the faster you go, it has, you know, it gets worse and worse.
A question from Bob the Tomato. He said, "What does the L button do in the middle of the shift knob on a Lariat FX4 Maverick?"
Okay, so if it's, an FX4, it's an EcoBoost. So here, wow, fantastic question that we need to cover, because I don't want all the EcoBoost, all the 8-speed transmission people out here being like, hey, Johnny said to press the L button.
Yeah, is it a L button there? What is there?
Yeah, it's not you know, the letter L can stand for a lot of things. And in this situation, if you're driving with that on the highway, let's pray to God that the system won't actually initiate it, because the L button on a mechanical transmission that has only a gasoline engine, petrol engine, is kicking you down into a lower gear.
It's to tow.
Yeah, you can definitely use the L for towing. You can also use the L for helping you control your speed going down a hill. But, you know, with FX4 has the hill control descent button. But it is going to kick you back 1, 2, even maybe 3 gears, maybe even 4 gears lower. It's going to use compression from the transmission. So if you could be driving, let's say, at these highway speeds going down a hill at, 70 miles per hour, 110 kilometers an hour. If you press that L, if you were to really full initiate at that speed, well, let's just hope that it'll initiate at a point that won't overheat the transmission, because it does kick you into a lower gear. So, you know, if you think back to back in the day when we used to drive manual transmissions, sometimes you do this just because, you know me, I love the sound of a Mustang. So often, instead of driving on the highway in the 6th gear, I'd be like, oh, there's a hill going down, and a hill. And at the end of the hill, I'm going to be stopping anyways. So I'd kind of make my own L button. I'm in 6th, clutch, 5th, let it go, let the engine talk, clutch, 4th, hear that beautiful engine, 3rd, and then I'd use the
only for your
compression
fun.
to slow down the vehicle.
It's useless, but it's for your fun.
Well, it saves the brakes.
Save the brake.
But then it's like, save the brakes, but you need to look at, you wouldn't ever want to unnecessarily heat the transmission just to save your brakes, because brake pads are cheap. Transmissions are expensive.
Yeah. And we have another question from David Sanchez. It was when we were talking about the bed cover. So if ordered before, I don't know if you know what it is, before delivery, will dealer charge a standard installation?
Well, that's a good point. Really, what I would want the dealer to do, what I'd ask them to do, because if you want to throw it on your financing or throw it on your lease, I ask them to order the part, store the part, and then just put the charge for both the installation and the part in my contract. And it's up to the dealer what they really want to charge for installation. But if they charge you too much for installation, well, they're not that hard to install. We're going to have to, when the weather's nicer, we're going to be installing one on our F-150 Lightning to show you all how, how doable it is. And I'm assuming it's doable. People are telling me it's easy, but I've never actually done it. But we'll do it and we'll find out. Let's find out if it's something that can actually make me swear.
And one last question before we finish the Maverick stuff. I see people love to learn about it. So GM Genoa, do you think the plug-in hybrid will come out in 2024? And how many miles on electric it could do?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I'd expect if they throw in the 14.4 kilowatt battery under current battery technology, lithium ion battery, it'll do, 60 kilometers, which is roughly about 38 or 40 miles. But I am expecting Ford, in order to save on costs, if we get to the news tonight, if we still have time, because we pretty much I'm supposed to make these live episodes 1 hour, so maybe that's going to be more episodes later on this week.
Talk about the Maverick.
I love to talk about the Maverick. But Ford most likely is going to be switching these batteries up for new technology, such as lithium iron phosphate. They won't have as much range, but they will charge much more quickly. So faster charge, less range. I think faster charge is great, and it's something that we need, but not necessarily on the smaller batteries. It's great on the Lightning. I don't mind stopping, and if it charges, twice as fast, fantastic. But on these smaller batteries, it's kind of fun if, you have enough range to get you to work and back, and then you just charge at home every night. But we'll see for that, and I don't expect it to be for 2024. Maybe they'll announce something in 2024, but I don't expect it to be, available for the 2024 model. It's not impossible. I'd just say that there's more chance that it comes with the refresh. And this vehicle came out as a 2022. So normally you get a refresh on the third year, 2025. And also Ford's going to be making their own batteries by 2025 in, the Ford Blue Oval City. That's one of the things I want to cover tonight, because it all relates to Maverick and F-150 Lightnings and a new truck, a new electric truck that's going to be coming down the road.
Yeah. And a quick question, because it's related to what you said. Tom Dinder wants to know, does the plug-in hybrid get better mileage than a regular hybrid normally?
Much better. Fantastic question. A regular hybrid generally at Ford gets roughly 5 to 7 liters per 100 kilometers, depending on the year and how you drive it. So roughly, 35 to 50 miles per gallon, depending where you drive it, how you drive it, and what time of year you're at. Now, the plugins, it's very impressive. One, the plugins can be, it can be really a 100% electric vehicle. If you think 40 miles, if 40 miles will get you to work and back, you're charging at home, you're electric all the time. Or if you have a plug at work and you're, 30, 35, 40 miles away from work, but there's a plug, you're going to work, electric. Plugging in, coming home electric. So these vehicles have the potential to be all electric vehicles. But if you never force them, the little forced electric button mode, if you never force them to be in electric mode, they're going to get roughly 3 liters per 100 kilometers, which is about, I think, 60 miles per gallon. But here, let's Wow. They get roughly about 78 miles per gallon.
Wow.
And then, you know what? If you don't force them to be all electric, what's interesting is the battery lasts longer. You know, if you force it to be electric, you're getting 40 miles. If you are happy getting, you know, let's say 78 miles per gallon, and that can vary. It can be, as low as 60 miles per gallon. It depends on the time of year. But if you don't force it to be 100% electric and you let the vehicle manage itself, the amount of the distance that the battery, the 14.4 kilowatt battery, will last is going to basically triple or quadruple.
And Angsheet, thank you so much for the comments. He said, keep building your channel. He thinks our channel is anything less than very entertaining and sincere. So thank you so much.
Thanks. That's really nice. I really do like encouragement. It's very nice to get some support and encouragement because, you know, with YouTube, if you're not getting videos, if regularly, you need to regularly get videos that have 100,000 views to do this, you know, as, you know, something that takes 40 hours a week. But you put the same amount of time in, whether you have, you know, about 100,000 views every single week, making it sort of sustainable, or if you have, you know, let's say about 10,000 views per week, not sustainable at all, but actually love doing it. Well, then it's great, and it's so nice to have the community support, and we're a community, right? So we're not always going to have all the right answers, and I'm always going to come out and say, hey, I was wrong about this when I realize it. And it's about sharing information. So, you know, if you know something we don't know, share it. If you have some intel that's useful, please, you know, bring it to us. No one's ever going to get anything right 100% of the time, and it's nice that we don't try to crucify each other when someone, you know, says something that's not quite the case. That's an electric wire, Lily. We don't eat those. Now, let's move on to wrap the show up. We've got, you know, we'll call this episode 2. Really important information in regards to the Ford Ranger, the Ford Bronco, the Ford Mustang, 2024 Mustang. We need to talk about scheduling information, and we need to talk about, you know, what to put on your order, what not to put on your order, and what to order right now. So 2024 Mustang ordering has started. So you want to order up your 2024 Mustang. It started today. Will this thing sell out? I don't know. The price has gone up considerably. And some people are saying that it looks like the nicest Camaro ever built. It looks like, you know, GM, they've stopped making the Camaro. And some would see the Mustang and say, hey, did GM finally make a really good looking Camaro? That must be a really expensive special edition. No, it's the new Ford Mustang. So that's what some people are saying. And don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying what some people say. Other people love the style because it's brave and it's bold. It's not just a copy of what's come in the past. You know, it's not a copy of what we've already seen. And sometimes it's nice to have something fresh and different, because if you don't like it, well, you can find a 2022 or a 2023 or whatever model pleases you. Marie and I think, well, I'll speak for myself. For that type of vehicle, I like the idea of doing a retro mod on the 60s Mustang, or even the 2005s that you love the look of the 2005.
Taking the model that people loved.
Yeah.
And remodel it.
A little nostalgia is great. And let's face it, not a lot of 19-year-olds are buying Mustangs. And I remember the Mustangs from, I'm one of the weird ones that actually liked the look of the styling of the 90s Mustang. And, you remind me I have no style. So, fair enough. It's one of the disliked models, but I like the 90s Mustangs. They're like the 94, 95. I like quite a bit. The 2000 Mustang, 2005, you love it. So those are all models that they could have done a retro mod on, or they could have gone back and tried to, put a new spin on what a 60s Mustang built to today would look like. I know the Shelby Cobra, there's a company redoing the look of that to today's styling, that it's just beauty. It's pure perfection. It's like, well, for example, Jaguar. Jaguar has one of the best looking objects. It's a vehicle, but they happen to make one of the most beautiful things ever seen by the human eye. So when you're going to go build a convertible and you either want to sell them for a very high price or sell a lot of them, do a retro version of that 60s Jag.
But at the same time, I have a question for you. Is it just because the new model you think it looks like a little bit like what is it? Not a Corvette, the other one. Camaro.
Yeah.
And in the back, I found it looks like a little bit like the lights of a Dodge, like Charger, Caliber, stuff like that. Is it because of that you wanted a retro mode?
No, I really I love the old styling.
Yeah.
But I also really appreciate how the new Mustang is offering something new. You know, it's called the new Mustang. It looks new, and I think it's brave. I think it's bold. I like it. I just don't know if I'd trade my 2022 for it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bit of a price increase. I think in regards to mechanics and engineering, wow.
I'm okay if you want to keep that one. We'll just
But,
put some stripe on it, so we're like a brand new car.
I take time to get adjusted to things. I remember when the 2015 Mustang came out, I wasn't sure. Then I saw it, loved it. When the 2017 came out, they did a remodel, and I was like, oh no, I much prefer my 2015, or maybe I had a 2016 then, I don't know. I've had a Mustang every year and move all over the place. But I was convinced.
It was before the Bronco.
I was convinced I didn't
right.
like the new style of the remodeled 2018. Then I saw it in person. I was like, oh no, this is nice, like up front. So we'll wait until I actually see the new Mustang in person to really know what I really think of it. And it's cool. The local dealership, well, we've got a Mustang right in the showroom, a 67 convertible. It's not for sale.
That's a beauty.
It's just for, like, you know, for me, that's real art. That's the type of art I want to see. No, I don't. I like to look at it, and I want everyone to enjoy and appreciate it. So this is all about scheduling news. So let's get back on topic. Ranger. You need to order. You can't order a Ranger right now. So here's the Ranger news. This is everything I know about the new Ranger. Likely, it's going to continue to have the 2.3 liter. It's going to continue to have the 10-speed transmission, and we can't order it yet. But internal rumors is that there'll be a 6-cylinder and not just in the Raptor. Because we all know the Raptor, it's getting a 3-liter V6 like they have on the Explorer and the Aviator. So a tested engine, a good setup, good transmission. But there's rumors that we're going to have a 6-cylinder, not just in the Raptor. So I'm really hoping that, let's say a Wild Track will come with a 2.7 liter. We'll either be ordering these online probably in April or May, or at the dealership, and who knows, maybe at the dealership it's only going to be when order banks open up, and they could open order banks really as late as a month before production. So production ends, I've shown it on no, I haven't shown it. I've talked about the commercial fleet notes, and it's been sitting on the fleet notes as July 7th for closing down the 23 Ranger production. They could close the factory for 1, 2, max, 3 weeks. So I'm expecting July 2024 Rangers to be built. So you'd think last call for orders would be in June at the dealer, or maybe April or May online. So we don't know yet whether we're ordering online to do like sort of reservations like we did with the Lightning, or if it's just going to be go to your dealer and get it done. Now the Bronco, of course, we all know Bronco ordering was today. I didn't get to order, so I miss my Bronco as much as the Lightning is the fastest vehicle I've ever had. It's the most comfortable vehicle I've ever had. It has no cost of driving it. It just I'm not even going to count what it cost me in electricity, because I've done some rough math before, and I think charging up cost me about $3, and I get 300 kilometers in the winter, 500 kilometers in the summer. It's ridiculous. It's mind-blowing, but it just doesn't have, even with the bigger BF Goodrich KO2 tires, it doesn't have the character my Bronco had. Now, I'm going to order a Wild Track. I believe I've decided on a 4-door Wild Track. I retested today the Gladiator with the 2.3 liter. Badlands 2.3 liter flies. It's great. On the did I say Gladiator? On the Everglades. Wow. Must be secretly thinking about that plug-in 4-cylinder Jeep with all its torque. Ford, let's get on this. Plug-in Bronco. You might lose me otherwise. But I love 6-cylinder on the Jeep. I do not like it one bit. You've got to put it way high on the RPMs to get it to move anywhere. But the 2.3 liter on the Everglades, because of the weight of the tires, I would need to throw on a tune on that. And I think I'm just going to go with a Wild Track 2.7 liter because it's just really impressive power. Even when you've gotten used to stomping down on that electric power, get with 0 to 60 mile per hour speeds of roughly 3.8, 3.9 seconds. So that's the news, but for those models. But let's talk about scheduling notes. I've got scheduling notes. I just want to talk about quickly things to avoid or things to get for the Bronco. Avoid ordering an Everglades. They're not getting built right now. Avoid ordering a base model. They're not getting built right now. And let's switch over to some other nifty little things. Too many people want Wild Track. I know, I'm saying that's probably what I'm going to order. I'm okay with it taking a good amount of time. I've got the Electric Lightning. It is a fantastic truck. Unbelievably impressed. We'll talk about news about fires in just electric vehicles in total. But right now, 0% production on the base. Sasquatch package is 42%. And the Wild Track is forced the Sasquatch. You'd think they'd favor it. We'll find out. So far, Wild Track has been a bit of a key to having your order take a little too long. Lux package, I'm avoiding that. I mean, you're with the high package, but the Lux package, only 36% production towards the Lux package, and a lot of people really do want Lux package. The 3-door, 15%. And Marie doesn't like the look of the 3-door. I love the look of the 3-door, and I love M. Peugeot. M. Peugeot said, you're just saying that because you're on live. M. Peugeot said that the 2.7 liter with a 2.7 liter OBX, so Outer Banks, flies. And I love the idea with a 2-door. So it's light.
That's
the
dangerous.
Engine's power.
No, you never will be able to have one.
Off-road beast. In our area, we've got trees everywhere where you're off-roading. I'd have such good maneuverability, but Marie's like, no, no, and no.
But remember how easy it was when we were on vacation with the dog, when we have 4 doors so we can enter the dog that was muddy paws in the car. It was easier
Vinyl or leather.
Yeah.
So vinyl or leather, yeah.
That's a must to have with kids or dogs.
My other choice was indeed Badlands. Let's get a nice little view back here. My other choice was actually a Badlands because the Badlands, it comes with those great year-round tires. Honestly, I'm still between a Badlands and a Wild Track. But let's keep going down the list. The front bumper, Ford Performance Heavy Duty modular bumper, 36%, so I'm not worried if you order that up, and they do look great. That's like what you have on the Everglades right there. Tow capability at 40%. Throw it on if you're really going to need it. It's worth, if it does cause a little bit of an extra weight, definitely worth it if you need it. You've got brush guard. I'd avoid that. Little, splash guards, brush guard. Avoid it. Get it at like all accessories at Ford, just get them at your parts department because now things are still somewhat constrained. Paint protection film, avoid at all costs. So that is how I would be going, I keep that all in mind when you're looking at your 2023 Bronco. Hard top right now, that's kind of scary. So last week's notes, so week of March 20th to March 24th, 2023, I've seen Everglades at 0% for the longest time, but soft top roof right now is at 100%. So you want to get scheduled, unless this changes, they are going to rebalance this because hardtop was higher for, month after month, but right now it's 0% for the hardtop. Dual tops, 0%, 2.7 liter EcoBoost, 65%. That doesn't worry me. Wild Track series, 23%. So Wild Track at 23%. Everglades, 0. Manual transmission, also 0%. So just keep all that very important information in mind when you're looking at ordering your Bronco. Now, the Maverick, we've talked so much about that, but right now, Tremor, there's still space on the Tremor package. But people that I've seen that ordered a Tremor, I'm not, half of them got scheduled, at least on the ones on my list. So for some reason, I'm going to look more into that. For some reason, some Tremors aren't scheduling. So I'm going to look into that. But Maverick, really any accessory that you can, get it thrown on at the factory. Sorry, not at the factory. Any accessories, get them thrown on at the parts department. So whether it's spray and bed liner, plastic bed liner, mud guards, paint protector, film in the front, covers, all that stuff, throw it on at factory. Now, luxury package, they had worked it out. Luxury package right now is down to, I'll have to come back next week with that, because as you can see, the notes here, okay, but then it's also in the F-150 section. So they did a pretty poor job
weird.
of cutting off the 2. They did a pretty, but I must start here. So the table is all mixed up, but the XLT luxury package is at 30%, Tremor package 8%, Tremor off-road plus appearance package 3%. I don't think that's a good value. Anyways, Ford Copilot 360, 60%, trailer hitch receiver 63%, and then of course tonneau pickup box cover hard folding like Marie has, hard rolling, but the hard folding from the factory is at 5%. Avoid that at all costs. Now, let's get on to this news. So, recalls. We've been talking about them. So let's start episode 3. Let's talk about Ford and GM recalls. There's a huge difference in recalls. Recalls can be either a very good thing or a very bad thing. Excessive recalls are annoying. A recall does mean you're going to the dealership and you're leaving your vehicle there. Now, if it's a big recall, like for example, an engine gets recalled, you might lose your vehicle for a really long period of time, like we saw with the 2014 Dodge Ram Eco Diesels. But a good recall, something that is preventative. And, unfortunately, the media looks at these things like, I'd say in a very different light than I'd say what is, for me, reality. They look at a company coming out with a recall and they go, hey, look, they screwed up again. A recall is admitting that there's something wrong with your vehicle. Thinking that a recall means the company screwed up again, it's like thinking that companies don't regularly screw up. I should stop using this word. I'm not a fan of the word, but mix-ups, mistakes, parts that are, okay, but not great, or just, poor parts, happen all the time. Everywhere. It's not just in the automotive industry. I've had a pair of, super expensive high-brand shoes when I was young. Took expensive shoes to be popular back then. Whatever. They fell apart on the 3rd week. So these things happen. You get a bad batch of glue, your sneaker falls apart, even if it was $300 back in the 1990s. So these things happen. And what's really horrible is when companies pretend like it's not an issue, because if they're not doing recalls, everyone's making mistakes. So a company that has no recalls is just making you live in misery. You're a pig in your own filth, and pigs actually like to be clean. So, but when it's hot, of course, they do like to cover themselves in mud. And that's where the misconception that they love being covered in their own filth. It's just they want to be cooled off and they don't want to get horrifically sunburnt. But yeah, generally pigs want to be clean, just like mice.
You always finish talking about animals on that show. Mice
and rats also have a reputation for just being these filthy creatures. They're actually very clean creatures. They like to be clean. So, and the expression dirty monkey, well, monkeys they have some pretty dirty habits, but they do spend most of the day grooming each other or grooming themselves. So let's check out let's check out what's going on over at GM. So GM has a lawsuit. Their lawsuit is based on their 8-speed transmission. And you know, this is the type of thing, this is not a recall, and this is really bad news. So you've got a lawsuit, it's hit class action status, meaning that, you know, all the plaintiffs can be pooled into one, work together to pay a really good legal team, because what's been going on, this, you know, it's affecting a lot of vehicles. So it's an 8-speed that is at GM, it's at Chevy, it's at Cadillac, and these are vehicles that were purchased after the March 1st, 2019, and plaintiffs are claiming that the vehicles are prone to jerking, hesitation, surging, lurching while the vehicle is in operation. So, you know, you start to take off and you think, oh, well, you know, I'm in first gear, I'm at this speed, and whoop, you get kind of
A kick.
You get a kicked and sped up and thrown forward, and that these issues actually have been there. It's alleged that these issues have existed since as early as 2013. Plaintiffs also say that GM has also worked to actively cover up the alleged problems and won't honor past warranty agreements. Basically, that's playing the game. What they're claiming, and I'll kind of, you know, what they're claiming is you go to the service department. You say, look, my vehicle, it's got this surging problem. It just shoots forward on its own. I didn't add gas. It just shoots forward. Not safe. Also called lurching. It jerks. And, you know, this transmission is crud. Do something about it. Please fix it. And what they're claiming is just basically that GM was like, no, the transmission's great. You know, this didn't actually happen. Or leave the vehicle with us. We'll test it out. Come back in a few days. Oh, well, we didn't find anything. Nothing happened abnormal. Well, we had it. And the result is that, you know, something that could have maybe been worked on under warranty in the past just gets ignored, so that, you know, later on you pay for it out of your own pocket because the vehicle is no longer warranted. And then maybe then it's, oh yeah, you know what, you left us your vehicle now for 3 days, now that you have 120 miles, and now yes, we did detect something, and it is going to cost you a new transmission. It's going to require 20 hours of work, and this is going to be, you know, an $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 job. So that's the type of, you know, scenario that I'm trying to explain. That's the type of thing that it would look like between a customer and service at the dealer. Remember, the dealer might want to change your transmission, but if the manufacturer says no, nothing's wrong, claim not warranted, you're stuck with your vehicle that you're just not enjoying. That's really bad, you know. And of course, this is alleged. So if this is true, that's really bad. Well, as a guy that's had a lot of 10-speed transmissions at Ford, I can say, I bet this very much is true. The 10-speed transmission at Ford it was made GM and Ford together, and now they kind of build it up in their own factories. But the initial design, they worked on it together. And the thing is, when customers came to talk to Ford dealers about the vehicle, oddly, pretty much doing all the same issues, Ford went, oh, yeah, okay, well, we're going to spend time and money to try to make it better. And Ford's solution has been reprogramming the transmissions. Now, I saw this type of problem with 2018s and 19s mostly, and come 22, I can't think of any instances that I remember this occurring with, either with customers or my own products. 23, no. 22, no. 21, very few. 20, very few. It was mostly a problem in 2018 and 2019. They reprogrammed them, and generally it pretty much always worked everything out. And that's a company saying, hey, you know what? Your experience isn't great. We're going to spend our money to make your experience better. The thing is, the media likes to treat this as, oh, look, Ford messed up again. Oh, yeah, click on my article, because my article is titled, you know, Ford screwed up, disaster at Ford, horrible Ford, Ford's going bankrupt, Ford won't exist in 1 year, 2 years, all that, you know, Ford's going under, all those catchy clickbait headlines that don't actually give credit to a company that's functioning properly. Every company has issues. It's just, do you hide them or do you fix them? And it's unfortunate that when you fix them, you have to deal with media treating you like you've got the worst product on the market. And actually the 10-speed, and I would think GM generally is good at making, very good at making transmissions. I would think that their 8-speed probably will still be very reliable. I know for a fact the Ford 10-speed and also GM 10-speed is very reliable, but I know as an observed fact, and I've seen it on the computer screen, that the transmission, the 10 speeds in certain years did have a bit of, sometimes a little bit of a lurking forward or a bit of hesitation going into gear. And it really came down to sort of the brain behind the transmission. Sometimes under certain driving conditions, not quite being certain about what to do. You flash it, you reprogram it with a new program, and then it was hunky-dory. But media will treat it like, hey, look, company's going under, they messed up again. No one's perfect, and there's no product that's perfect either.
And it's better to have recalls than nothing, so it's more safer, it's always repaired.
How many Toyota engines have blown in my circle of friends? I blew a Celica engine. The Toyota I have now
We don't know how
had,
you
I think,
drive.
3 engines blown, but I didn't blow any of them, but they've had 3 engines blown. Who knows? Maybe I'll blow the current one. If so, I'm throwing in a Honda motor. So that's what's been going on the channel here. So hence the bit of Toyota talk. But recalls, and Ford actually has, speaking of the 10-speed, Ford has had a recall because there's either how they worded it, either an extra bolt or a bolt that can become loose on the 10-speed transmission that can make it that the vehicle could, even when in park, roll forward or roll back. Folks, you should always use your handbrake. Whether or not you have a transmission that could be affected, always use your handbrake, because you want your transmission to not have extra, hardships, wear and tear. It's good to use your handbrake so that it's not just a little park. When you're in park, you've actually kind of got a bolt holding everything in place. The vehicles are really heavy, and you don't want the vehicle rolling. When you put a vehicle in park, if you don't use their handbrake, it rolls back and then it clicks on that bolt. Same thing with Ford, so you're better off always using when your foot's on the brake, turn on the handbrake, let it turn on, then turn off the car, let everything go. And actually that's a good practice when you're in a manual vehicle, because when you're in a manual vehicle, always have a manual Bronco, Mustang, have your clutch in and turn the car off, then let go of your clutch. Because sometimes people get all confused in the order. They're in first gear, they forget they're in first gear, and they go, okay, well, I'm done here, and they let go of the clutch. And what happens? The vehicle shoots forward into a wall or into a cement block.
Is it
or whatever.
what happened to you that time I found the Mustang in the street? Back in the days?
What? What? No.
Yeah.
No.
At her other house, the Mustang was in the street when I found it.
Oh, I forgot to use, I forgot to use my handbrake, and, thought I was holding the vehicle in place by leaving it in park. So, leaving it in, no, it was a manual, leaving it in first gear, but I wasn't in first gear. I guess I must have hooked it, either forgot to put it in first gear or hooked it and went back into neutral when I was getting out of the vehicle. Maybe I touched the shifter, but another reason why you should always use your handbrake. So that covers recall news for this week. Now, we've covered recalls. We've covered scheduling notes on the live show. We've covered, the vehicles you need to order now. I think the Bronco will sell out very quickly. I think you probably, maybe I'm wrong here, but I've got this feeling you've got weeks and weeks that you can order a Mustang, but unless it's something like the Dark Horse. I think the Ranger is going to sell out really quick. In the Bronco, 2023 Bronco is open for everyone now. Anyone can order a Bronco, and it is going to sell out really, really quickly. So that covers everything we've got for tonight. That's the show. We did the questions earlier on, so there won't be a Q&A only section.
Nobody
Now-
has question for the other parts. We see it's really about the Maverick tonight. Thank you
But-
guys for being here.
Thank you so much. I just want to show everyone, go back to that lifted Maverick, how you know that some people might find that looks really good, and that's cool. I like it. Marie, I think you're
Yeah,
undecided.
it's maybe more like a Ranger look because it's higher, and I prefer to drive higher. Maybe you will convince me someday.
And the Maverick, sorry, that's not a Maverick. The Toyota MR2
It's
with
back.
its future blown motor. Well, no, we'll find out. We're going to be reprogramming that engine. We did some programming last summer, but we only programmed it for, you know, basically 25 to 30 degree weather, and it wasn't programmed for colder weather. So that's probably why I couldn't get it started. So I had it towed back, but we might just go ahead and change the water pump, the timing belt. We'll be opening up the side of the engine a little bit and just reprogramming the whole thing to see what's going down with the Toyota MR2. So, you know, if you want to help the channel out when we do this type of content, even if it's not Maverick content, check it out. Now it's 9 o'clock, so that means it's All Terrain Nation time. So Dave and Kelly at All Terrain Nation are going to be covering some Bronco information tonight. And tomorrow night we've got the legend himself, Tim Bartz, Ford video guy, doing his weekly live show. So we look forward to seeing you all there. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Thank you very much, Michael, Cooper, John B, Meanstroke, Ridgeview, and really all our members, all our subscribers. Thank you so much. And members, you really give us an extra helping hand to pay for all the nonsense and trouble we get into. So thank you so much for keeping us alive, channel-wise. So if anyone has any comments for the community, any information, throw in your Maverick intel, when you ordered Bronco, Bronco, what model, when you ordered, how your process has been. You know what's odd? We get a lot of comments from people saying, I got really good service when I picked up my Maverick or Bronco. Mind you, the media would have you believe that every Bronco and Maverick sold has been a horrible experience. So not every dealership is bad. So if you're in the States, get your Maverick or Bronco, get them from Ford Video Guy. We all know Tim Bartz is going to treat you with class and fairness, and you get to meet him. So if I was in the States, that I'd have to pass by. We're gonna have to go down to Kansas at some point.
Yeah, it will be fun.
So thank you very much to all the subscribers and members. If you're new to the channel, check us out some more. Check out a video or two more, and if we pass the test, please subscribe. It's completely free. If you want to help support the channel, just hit that membership join button. We appreciate you all. Take care. Have a wonderful night. See you this week, Tim Bartz, on Tuesdays, and All Terrain. Now, we got to get off.
Yeah, bye.